Oh, I don't know. I'm like my monitor. I'm not very bright. All right, what's happening, Fish and friends? Welcome
Audio is
to.
good. Everything is fine.
Yes, yeah, your audio looks good. You sound good. Hopefully, everybody else can hear you. You're good on our side. But
Mhm.
what has happened? I am super excited tonight because y'all saw me unbox this a while ago, and it's been basically a couple years since Mauricio and I have got together to do one of these, and I feel like an absolute jerk. I told him that, but like he said, we get busy and kind of get off to our own things. We've kind of hit each other up now and then in between, but I feel so bad we haven't had you on. So, of course, you've got the Dizzle up there. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Doing well. Jeez, I can talk good today.
Doing
Yep.
and Mauricio up here. What's up, man?
Hey guys, what's up? It's such a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I was really anxious to be talking with you, and it's gonna be fun, man.
Dude, I am so pumped. The last time, so we had, or he had me on his show, and we talked for, I don't know, probably a good hour after the show was over, just about, everything. Because, like I said, y'all know I trained Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for what, 12 years. So a lot of my favorite fighters, I'm not, I don't know the area super well, but familiar with the area, familiar with a lot of the culture type stuff. Of course, they've got the Amazon fishing, like, if y'all watch what is it, Jeremy Wade,
Hmm.
River Monsters.
Yep.
River
How
monsters.
many times did he go there and catch crazy stuff? And we were just talking beforehand. We'll get into some of the species and stuff, but we were looking up at one, the giant catfish, which is Piranha, which can be 10 feet long. That's a shark in the river. Like, what? So that's what we're going to get into tonight. So Mauricio, I want you to just kind of start out and give us, your quick kind of few-minute background of what got you into fishing. Why are you fishing still now? What is it? I'm going to give the mic to you because it's going to be a super fun time to pick your brain. I'm going to warn you, there's going to be a lot of questions, okay? Because we want to know all the fun stuff down in Brazil.
Well, I hope I can answer some of them or most of them, guys. As I mentioned to you guys, it's a pleasure to be here. The fishing for me, it's a passion, as for all of us, I'm pretty sure. For most of us or some of us, it's a business also. But for me, it's mainly it started as a hobby and it's still a hobby. Although during this 4 years since I've been doing the YouTube, channel, and since I grew up with the brand and everything, I work with this. A lot of guys get confused because they don't know if I have a store or not. But I started as because of the baits and all the background and all the the cap, the branding.
Sure.
I'm a passionate guy, as most of the Brazilians are, and when I'm into something, I made with no intent of profit whatsoever. I started um, back in 2020 the channel, but earlier than that, I was already, of course, fishing, and as most of us guys, and probably also, I started fishing with my grandfather. The fishing was always there. There is a big space in my life where I was not fishing, and then some 10 years ago I went back to fishing and never stopped again. So yeah, the Fishing Bass Brazil started from the idea of the name in English for a Brazilian and Portuguese speaking audience was really odd at the beginning. But somehow my connections with your country, with US. My main business is working with U.S. companies in the construction business, and that's my business, and so I got a lot of good relationship with good companies in US, and that brought me into US every time, and I'm still going into back and forth. So and that's been for already 28 years or so.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's been good, and I've been blessed to have the channel and to grow the channel. The channel didn't grow as I actually. I started with no big expectations. The channel, more like to share my passion, and then it started to grow. And it didn't grow as much as I expected now because I had I've been building my house this past year and a half. So not myself, of course, but I'm building my house, and now I'm actually living in this new house. And all this craziness put me away a little bit of the YouTube, but I'm coming
Yeah.
back here in Brazil. And man, Yeah, the fishing here, the for most of the guys that don't know, black bass came into Brazil in the late 40s, early 50s. And I don't have the right story on it, but I'm pretty sure that that's the dates. So the fishing that you're seeing right now, I don't know if you've seen that,
Yep.
Debo,
Yeah, everybody
but
gets to
yeah,
see this.
these,
I'm
yeah,
sharing it.
these fish are the major focus for sport fishing in Brazil, and those are pretty much in the Amazon region, in the northwest Brazil. And the one on the top, the peacock bass, that's the main guy, and the catfish style fishing, the ones in the bottle, the two ones in the bottle. As you see, the peacock bass have at least three of the species, but we have over six different variations of the peacock bass. The peacock
And is
bass
it
is the.
is
I'm
this one
sorry.
the
Go ahead.
biggest? The 3 bar, is that the one that gets really big?
The three bar, yeah, they got different names. The 3 bar it could be the tucunaré asu, ACU. It's that's the biggest one, and that's it seems like this one is a little bit blue on the top.
Uh-huh.
We got the tucunaré azul, or blue peacock
Wow.
bass, and but it could be that one too. The guys that actually fish the tucunaré and peacock bass all the time will know better than I do. I'm kind of far away from the Amazon. Um, if I took a flight, as Brazil is similar to US in area, so it's a big jump.
That's what I was going to
Um,
ask too, how big Brazil is, because you're pretty close, or I guess kind of, is it the northern part that's almost right on the hemisphere of Brazil?
yeah, exactly.
So is it a pretty temperate climate there all year round?
The Amazon, yeah, a lot of rain, a lot of very warm throughout the year. A lot of mosquitoes in some areas, but and one of the things that makes it still a very interesting destination to Americans and to people all around the world is how rough it is to get there. Still have a very poor infrastructure. We do have, of course, airports coming into the capital of the state, and some small towns. But then from there, you either going on on those water planes,
Mm-hmm.
or you go by boat. 1-2 days by boat to get to some destination. And then you're in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of, not nowhere, but in the middle of the forest, of the rainforest. So it is the whole trip. It's already something to remember for life, even if you don't catch a fish.
Just getting
But
there. Yeah,
yeah,
just
just
getting there
getting there.
alone.
Yeah, and that's and we it's growing. Of course, we have beautiful places over there too. We have great hotels today, floating hotels, infrastructure in some areas that are really reachable only by plane or a couple of days of boats, as I mentioned. They are amazing, and they have the internet is there too. It's working, Starlink and whatever. But
Yeah, we were talking earlier. It's not just monkeys jumping around the city and crazy animals running through. You have hotels and internet, and yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a misconception. People hear Brazil and think, oh, everything's the Amazon rainforest there. But I'm glad you pointed out Brazil's the
yeah.
size of U.S. or very close to U.S. Uh, as far as landmass says.
We are, of course. I'm not going to talk politics. I'm not into that. But historically, Brazil has not been focusing much of on infrastructure. At least since the late '60s. So the focus of Brazilians, unfortunately, has not been looking into much of an infrastructure. Every movement on infrastructure that we are having today, talking about fishing, okay, talking about our business and our it's mainly by private companies and private personal, someone that is investing to making something, something out of it.
Hmm. Yeah, and here's a good one to kind of lead us in. This was one of the questions I wanted to ask. So I know you said, the bait companies are starting to come around more. So what are like, you don't even have to go into bait companies because of probably a lot of them, we're
Yeah.
not going to know of. But like, what are a couple popular baits down there for bass? And then, as Fishing Fix asked, What brands of rods and reels do you use? Like, are there any companies that are kind of prevalent in Brazil?
Well, we have of course the main brands, Shimano, Daiwa. The big guys are here. I call them big guys. Don't get me wrong on that, but mainly because of the size of the companies. But
Yeah,
Shimano,
sure.
Daiwa, they are easy access to the Brazilians in general. We have in all major capital or major city in Brazil, we have a fishing store. It's gonna be more like your gas station store. For you to have a picture of it, it's not a big store, but it's some of these companies are big. We have 2 or 3 that are big in size, nothing like a Bass Pro, for instance, but a good gas station or a good local area fishing store, we
Mhm.
might compete with that.
Like a
Of
mom and pop
course,
type store.
yeah, or we're not going to be. We are not talking about the products itself, the differences between baits and everything, but for bass fishing, and that's what's interesting. There is a lot of companies here in Brazil importing American brands already for a while. Yamamoto baits, we got them for over 10 years already. We can
Oh,
we can buy them. We can buy them locally. Very expensive though, but because of taxes and import taxes and everything. But
yeah.
we got. I'm
That would
sorry.
be interesting. So I don't know if you can do the conversion quick, but in like US dollars, what would a pack of Senkos be? Because I think here they're even expensive here. So that's why I wonder, because they're like 6, $7 here, and you can tell me what, and I can probably
20,
do it quick.
20, 20 to $25. A
Oh, really?
Yamamoto,
Per
a pack of Yamamoto, or a good bait. For instance, we have the Z-Man. Actually, I don't know how Z-Man is going right now, because usually the guys that were bringing in Z-Man were guys that were importing the hobby kayaks. They were the same company, and I
Uh-huh.
know now it's a little bit gray area, but we can get Z-Man brands. Some guys are importing, as a one deal, or you know doing themselves. Some stores are buying and importing themselves the brands. So we have Z-Man, we have Zoom, we have Yum, and that's not only for bass, because some of these baits can get a bigger size and a bigger shed, and you can use that in the Amazon, for instance.
Hmm.
But you're not gonna be using a 5-inch in the Amazon, unless you're buying fishing finesse in the Amazon. But
Yeah, yeah.
you
Five,
know,
6-inch lures are finesse
yeah,
fishing in the Amazon.
in the
That's a
Amazon,
good way to put it. Yeah.
oh my God,
Cooler
yeah.
Led, our buddy says, "Damn, he's sitting on a gold mine if Cinco's are $20 down there." Yeah, all you got to do is take one of those charter flights, flying on one of those boat plane type deals, and just hustle all your
Man,
Cinco's away.
oh man. Well, actually, there's always those saying, I hope my wife never understands how much money I have in this wall, but um, yeah, it's crazy, because as I mentioned to you in another moment, most of my US brand baits, I actually bought them in US. So I'm fortunate to travel to US every now and then, so it's cheaper for me somehow, although I'm paying the expenses of the travel and everything. But
Right.
it's a better access. But we can get them here. So not all of them. There is another thing that, and it's kind of funny for me. I think you guys will understand. I notice in US right now, finesse fishing is starting to grow. It's not a new thing, but it's starting to grow to
Absolutely.
a lot of guys. And we've been,
BFS, the little tiny
yeah, the
like
BFS, yeah,
lures. Yeah, like
in
this
Brazil. Yeah,
little
there you go,
tiny jig
K-Tex.
like that. Yeah.
K-Tex, yeah. K-Tex, and that's another brand we have very easy access here, K-Tex, and they came from Japan to here, exactly as probably, I think yours came from Japan too. I don't know. But,
Yeah, I think they're. Yeah, I think that's what these show.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's a bunch of stuff I can't read on it. I think they're straight
yeah,
from.
that's probably
Yeah.
it. And so, yeah, so talking on finesse, the Brazilians' best fishing scenario, it has been finesse from the start. So we somehow, it's funny for us to see you guys getting into even Z-Man or bigger companies coming into shorter size, Senkos, for instance. We use the 4-inch. That's a big Senko for us most of the time, because we use finesse for most of our fishing for bass. You remember, BFS here in Brazil is strong for the last decade, So and companies like sorry, the Castrel company, Casking. companies like Asking, they've been here already through Chinese web pages that have access and they sell to US, to Brazil, like eBay, for instance.
Right.
You know, we have our eBay variations here. Actually, we have eBay in Brazil too, but it doesn't work that well, at least on none of my experience. But we, you know, as far as materials and returning to that to that frank question, yeah, the rods, reels, we have access to the major brands. And if you get into something more specific, and my the dream ones, I'll have to go into US to buy them, you know. But we do have easy access, not easy, but more common access in the south of Brazil to Japanese material. A lot of companies are importing Japanese reels, rods, you know, Shimano reels, not importantly in the official way, but unofficially being imported by some companies and some guys. They sell them here very competitive pricing compared to what you pay on a regular store. So it's almost like a black market that goes very strong here in Brazil. So we have access to the major. If you got a new reel there in a month, it's going to be here, either officially or not. So the major companies, of course, you know,
on or off the books. Now, you said the fishing there is interesting because, you know, obviously there's tons of river fishing, Amazon and all that, but you know, you talked about getting into bass fishing. You know, you said there was a few like kind of dams and reservoirs, but a lot of what you do is like private stuff, right? So these are places that, you know, they're growing the bass because what he was talking about before is, you know, in a lot of the places people are fishing for their livelihood, like to survive, to support their family. So in a lot of these places with, you know, the dams or places where largemouth bass used to be. And is it just largemouth? Is that all you have? Like, do you have smallmouth or anything like that?
Largemouth.
Just largemouth. Okay. Yeah. So in a lot of these places, they just, I mean, they literally got fished out for livelihood. You know, it's not a deal where they're just catching them for fun. They need to eat, you know, kind of a deal. So you said a lot of the places are kind of private. So what type of fishing is that? Like, what is the water like? Is it really clear? Is it really grassy? Like, have they, like, are these man-made places, or are they just like cut off parts of the river that they like? What's it like? What are you fishing?
Yeah, we have pretty much a little bit of everything, man, which is a fun thing, you know, which is nice because although the climate here, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's better than what you guys face when on the winter, for instance. You got snow, you got a lot of places in the US, despite Florida, of course, or Texas. But you got a lot of places that will freeze, and you're not going to be fishing, or bass at least. But we have a steady weather all year long, even in the south. And the reason bass, and that's my opinion, okay, but the reason bass grew is growing in the south of Brazil is because the other big fish are not here, you know, so they have no predators.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Official predators.
We think about, you know, a lot of our ponds, like a muskie, a 40-inch muskie is huge, but when we're talking about 10-foot catfish, like a 5-pound bass is just a little snack for that, you know. So
exactly,
that's a whole different deal.
Brazil. Yeah, in Brazil, a big bass for us, it will be a 2.5, a 3-pounder. You know, it's going to be a big bass in any day. I'll take that any day, you know, because it's a good day of fishing bass. We do have historically some bigger ones, but nowadays on private lakes, we might have some good size fishing, some maybe 4-pounders. You know, I'm telling you something I don't know because I never fish anything bigger than a 3-pounder here, and I'm very happy with what I have. You know, so your things make me happy all day, Debo.
And dude, that's what I was just gonna say. Like everything is, everything is relative. Yeah, because you see the guys here in Texas, and that's what I remind people of all the freaking time.
Florida.
Yeah, you see these guys in Texas, Florida catching, you know, big fish, and that's fine. You know, I'm not discrediting them at all, but they have the fish. They have the availability to catch those fish. Up here, they're not as common. And like you're saying, in your area, 4 might be a giant just because that's, you know, that's all the bigger they get for, you know, whatever reason, you know, whether it's harvesting or tie, you know, whatever it could be. You always kind of have to keep that in consideration, that size in your area, a 4-pounder could be the biggest fish in the lake, you know? So.
Oh yeah. And that one of the easy ways to explain that is actually, as you mentioned already to the guys, and is that most of the majority of the bass fishing we have here is on private lakes, either a reservoir that is owned by a company, so it's not an easy access. And on the reservoirs they might get bigger, and we might not know if there's a bigger one there because the fishing is not allowed, or it's very rare that you get access to that.
Yeah.
So and it is not a native fish to Brazil. So the authorities here, in general, they couldn't care less about bass. And,
Right.
and if you kill it, it's not a crime. Well, it's not a crime in the US too, but it's if you know what I mean. Most of our species are protected. And most of our fishing species
the
are
native,
protected.
like the native, the native fish,
the native ones. Sure. Yes, on specific dates of the year you cannot fish them. You cannot eat them. At least you cannot kill them. So you might be able to fish in some areas, but it's somehow controlled. I'm sorry, I'm looking to the comment over there.
Yep. Actually, I'm gonna jump back one before I get to.
Sure.
So Obsessed asked, what makes you chase largemouth bass of that class over some of the larger and more famous target species in the Amazon? Like he asked, and I think you kind of touched on this earlier, is it really hard to access those, in your area where you're at?
Yeah, well, Obsessed. Actually, it's far from here. The main explanation I would say, it's like I'm living in Florida and all the big fish are in Michigan. It's
I was just going to look up and see.
Actually, I think it might be even further, but it's far from where I am. I'm in the southern state of Brazil. What we have here, it's good sporty fishing, and we have the Dourado, which is a big fish. Which is the Dourado.
It's like the dolphin, right? Isn't that what they call the dolphin too?
Yeah,
the big round-headed, really colorful blue, green,
golden. Yeah, golden. The Dourado, as in a direct translation, it will be golden. So it's a golden. It's so golden. It's like a bar of gold. It's a beautiful fish, and we have a lot of that here, and not close to my region, but it'll be like a 6 hours drive to get to fish the Dourado. And as you guys can imagine, it's a whole different game. I mean, equipment,
right?
We're talking at least 40-pound braid, 40 pound, you got to have a heavy equipment, 30 pounds rods, 25 to 30 pound rods. Some guys are more, brave and then go fishing those big guys with a 17-pound rod, but it's a big fight. And that's the main reason it's not close to where we are. So we have bass, because in our area here, and it's a very specific region in southern Brazil, in the high areas. So we live in the mountains, so where the climate is colder. And yes, I know you're gonna be talking about Mexico all the time, every time I say that, but it's colder. So in the colder states of Brazil, that's where bass grow. Again, because there is no much predators that live in cold. So
because what is, like, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but like what would the Amazon like normal water temperature be? It's pretty warm, right?
It is warm. Like, I'll not be able to translate to you directly now, but it's a warm water. Yeah.
Do you know
it's
Celsius?
Warmer. I'll tell you, warmer than Florida.
Oh wow, yeah. So you're probably looking at 90-ish degree water.
Celsius, yeah, that's probably 24 Celsius, 20 to 24 Celsius. And the guys that fish in the Amazon will kill me if I'm that far from the reality, but I think that's a good ballpark. 24 Celsius. That's probably 90. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Yeah, I thought it stayed pretty warm all year. Yeah, that's a good point, because once you get bass that that hot, it's almost the opposite of, you can't grow them that much because their metabolism is ticking so high.
Then again, you have Mexico now. I mean, then I have you at Mexico, and with the warm water. But again, I don't think they have competitors. Where on those big lakes in Mexico, they don't have a predator to them, so they grow. And again, I'm not an expert on that. I actually spoke with Robert from the Science of. You remember Robert? I forgot his name. I actually spoke with him on my channel once. He's an American, very studious. He studied a lot about the bass, and he was but he was talking about that, about bass being a very aggressive predator too. So most of the guys are mistaken and think that the bass won't eat a wolffish. It will. If he can, it will. So even if don't have the teeth to do it, but they will eat it. So it's crazy to think like that. But of course, no. Just trying to finish the answer on why I don't fish the big guys. I don't have them close home. And the fish that we have here are fun to fish. We have similar to wolffish, we call traira.
Yeah, let me look these up. We were talking about that earlier.
Traira. Traira.
Oh yeah, those are crazy looking. It's almost like a snakehead mixed with
a wolffish. I don't know if
almost like a bowfin mixed with. I want to see what the side of it looks like. Does it have like an undulating fin? Oh no, it doesn't. So it doesn't have the whole.
It doesn't.
There's a good picture of it. So it's not like the bowfin that we have here. Let me present.
It remembers the snakefish. The head is the main difference, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it looks like a snakehead, but it doesn't have the full big huge bowfin type tail. Yeah, those are mean looking little dudes.
Oh man, and they bite very hard. I'll tell you, don't want your fingers there. But and that's a very common one here. That's gonna be, if I can't in the
do they get
Brazil.
Do they get 47 inches in your area? Do they get that big?
Again, not in southern Brazil. If you go to the north,
because the Amazon,
we call them. It's actually treated as a different species, as a variation, but it is called trairão, which is traira and trairão. It's a bigger traira, it's, and then it gets really big. It gets over a meter. Some I don't want to say, probably a meter or 90 centimeters. It's a big fish, man. It can get to very big size, and it's still, it's a fun fish to fish, and that will be compared to in the south of Brazil to availability of black bass you have in US. Every pound in US you might find a black bass, and traira you have in every pound from the south to the north of Brazil. It's a very common fish to find. It's not
kind of like our pike. In a lot of spots, pike here type thing. Those would be fun. So this actually ties in. What is the hottest lure or bait like in Brazil? So you were talking about earlier, you get to do, and Dizzle, feel free to jump in. Not only are you looking slim and trim and handsome over there, but you're also very quiet, my friend. I see the wheels turning.
I was just waiting down. I'm throwing questions into private chat, and I've written down a couple of questions too. So I was just kind of waiting for a break here.
Okay, so we'll do this one, then I'm gonna let Dizzle take the mic for a minute. So what is the hottest or popular bait? Because you said that you do bank fishing tournaments, which are pretty big there, of like 60 people or more. You said that's pretty crazy. I wouldn't have thought that many folks. So like, what's a hot bait that people are catching fish on? And then I want to know, what's your favorite bait to catch fish on?
Well, the hottest bait in Brazil, you got to consider Amazon. You got to consider, it's going to be a hard lure. It's not going to be a soft one, and it's going to be a top water for sure. And I'm not an expert on the Amazon, so I know from friends and from all the guys that I follow, that's going to be a top water hard bait type of lure. It's
because I feel like they throw a lot of the whopper ploppers, right? The ones that plop, 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 plop.
Similar to whopper plopper, but actually, we got several companies doing a lot of good companies, Brazilian companies doing great jobs, and so we have 5 or 6 good brands doing a great material, great lure for Amazon. So most of even the guys from US, they come in, they usually buy the Brazilian baits because that's what works, And
sure,
I do have the one of the like a torpedo style top water, with a rotor on the
it's like
back.
a head and torpedo with the little
blades.
Like
a head. The head is a good bait here. Yeah, the propeller. We have there is a very popular one that is an American brand that sells a lot here, and it's so expensive. It's crazy expensive.
And it's Smithwick. Is it the Devil's Horse? That's another big one. No.
I have it here, but it's actually no, it's not that close to me right now. But I have it. Well, I have some plugs here. Let me see. Top water. Yeah, I have some. Oh man, sorry about that. But
I love even our friends in Brazil have their own little tackle hoarding lures and boxes. And,
these just answering my friend there that asked about the reels. We got some. Yeah, I got crazy a little bit on that. I got some 38 reels back here, so I have just one rod in hand when I'm fishing. But I have, yeah. So and the top ones, as you know, like Aldebaran, the Shimano Aldebaran. That's also very finesse for you guys. And this is a top reel for everywhere. It's a very expensive one, but this is very good on bass fishing in Brazil because our fish is not as big as yours. So I mean, the Aldebaran, it's crazy good fishing. Metaniums, we got them here too. I love the Bantam. You know, that's my main one. That's the one I go for. Although it's heavier than the other ones, I love the Bantam. And you know, Metanium, DCs, and all those guys. And yeah, I'm not much into Shimano, but that's the main one I have. But yeah, as far as you know, plugs, you guys invented, as far as I understand, most of it. But you know, and these are very small ones. Okay, these are for my region. But imagine this size 12 or size, you know, 14, 15. That's in centimeters. Even for you guys, when you say a 14 or 140, that's usually in centimeters. So
right,
this is not a top water, of course, as you've seen. This is not a top water, but yeah, we have a lot, and these are all Brazilian companies. So these are very well made lures. I'm sorry. Oh, where is? Oh, here you go. So these are very well made lures, and like this one is from Piranha State, De Conto, and very this color, in fact, the bone color, it's very popular in the Amazon. Despite what you're throwing, it's a top water, you know, shallow sinking or whatever.
Same here. Yeah, so many fish are white or have that white belly. And do those float? So do you run them and then they just kind of float up?
We have all them, you know, and as you guys have on the hard baits, I would say that we, and not in a cocky way, please understand me. We are very well served on hard baits here because of the Amazon. So we have good companies making them. We got good American brands here accessible on the hard baits. Okay, and I don't know if I'm correct calling it hard baits. I call it hard baits, but you know, all top water hard baits. You know, but soft baits. We also have some good companies showing up. The ones that I sent you, actually, it's almost like a new brand. Yeah. They have 5 years in the market, but these guys are growing as far as the rigidity and the resistance of the plastic. Imagine fishing for the traira that you saw with a lot of teeth. You know, it's,
that'd be like pike. That's what I was saying. It's kind of like pike here with us. You have to fish leaders, otherwise they're probably cutting your line all the time. So you have to use like a real thick mono or a steel leader or something. And
so it's pretty much the same here, you know, as far as
Dizzle, I'm gonna let you jump in. So we got Bassless.
You asked me. I'm sorry, Debo. You asked me about my main lure and the one that I.
Yes.
I have to say is the you know, I don't know if I want to say it, but no, is the shed shape, or any brand would like a shed shape, the Yamamoto shed shape, you know, the 4-incher. It's I can get it, but
is it? Yeah, well, I can search too. The shad shape, is that the trying to think, is that like the drop shot one looking thing?
Here we go.
Like a fluke looking deal.
There you go. Okay, so this is the original. This is the shed shape. Where is the camera? Shed shape worm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's like can you pull one of those out? Is it like a fluke or is it more like a worm?
More like a fluke.
Okay.
Well, it's very popular as far as I know in Florida. You know, guys fishing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that's the shed shape. That's a 4-incher. And it's really crazy good with a 1-odd hook. You know, it really.
How do you fish it? Is it like a Texas rig, or do you like drop shot it, or
just you know,
weightless?
no sinker, weightless. I can use a drop shot, but and drop shot does a great work. But my main fishing is weightless. You know, unless there's a lot of wind, I'll add some weight to the hook. You know, a circular one just on the hook, a very light one, just to hold it a little bit against the wind. Otherwise, it's always unweighted. And the difference, you know, like this is Kayak Shed Impact. That's a 3-incher. Sorry,
Yep.
there you go. So the same thing,
yep.
you know,
Little
it
fluke
changes.
shad looking bait. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, you know, dual reales. This is from Japan, and I don't know if you had that in US, but and notice this is a 3-incher. It's a very small one for your, you know, usual fishing.
That's
in US.
I'd say average or above for you know, most of.
Yeah. So it's a very light fishing, and that's my go-to bait. The one that I trust is that type of bait.
Okay.
But yeah.
Dizzle, I'm letting you take over. What do you got? There was one more I'm going to star about kayak fishing, which I can see you have the KBF, so we'll get to that one. I'll star that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
Dizzle,
I put those in the private chat also. But couple of questions that I had. One of them we kind of always touch on, but the other goes along with actually Basilis's question that's up right now. Are there any brands, whether it be like rod, reel, or bait in general, soft plastic, hard plastic, that you're wanting to try or use, but you haven't due to either availability or cost?
Oh, of course, man. Especially, I think it's more of out of a curiosity and out of the quality of the building that I can see from here. You know, a lot of guys use them in US, especially, and we don't have them here. So if we do, it's going to be a private import. It's going to be twice the price you pay at least. You know, actually, they are already twice the price you pay at least. Any of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I have to go to Tackle Warehouse to give you the names, but yeah, you know, it's
or just any style of bait that you haven't got your hands on yet.
No, style of bait. I would say that we are very well served, and mainly, man, because as I mentioned to you guys on the black bass that I can talk more, you know, and even for the northern Brazil. But the majority of the baits that we have for black bass fishing is out of Japan. So and it's already focused for bass. So and it's our finesse fishing. So I would say that we are very well served, but they are very expensive again. So it's not for everybody. I mean, it is for everybody, but sometimes it's going to be hard for you to have 1, 2, 3 packs. That's the reality of the majority of the fishermen in Brazil. Now, I'm not talking only on the south of Brazil, but that's a reality. It's tough, man. So it's expensive. It is an expensive sport. It can be. You know, you guys know that. It can be cheap if you just want to go there and fish. You can buy I don't know, in Brazil it's going to be hard, but you can buy a $4 pack, and you can buy a 20 or $15 to $20 rod, and you can buy maybe a $30 reel. You can get that, you know, and the cheaper Chinese made reels. So it's not impossible, and it's accessible if you go that route, you know. And I like that, and I wish more people come into the sport. But where we are, and especially if you are crazy as I am, and you know, if you're going to a more the quality material, it's going to be expensive, and it's very expensive. It's double the price that you guys pay there for sure. So you know, rods and reels, the reels. They are the same you guys have there. We can get the same, you know, Shimano's, Daiwas, and sometimes we have brands you don't have it because they are focused to Amazon, or you know, it's it goes the other way too. But or they came straight from Japan. But Dobbins, I like that. I like that brand, Dobbins. I'm very curious about those guys. And there is some small companies also selling through Tackle Warehouse, for instance, that I love Tackle Warehouse. But that's not a propaganda because, you know, but it's a big web. web place to stop by and buy it. So I do my research there most of the time.
Sure.
So the new stuff coming in at the iCast and those kind of things, I usually go there and look for them. But yeah, Dobbins. There are a couple of other companies that I'm not remembering that I love to have any of them. I got a couple of G Lumings that I bought in US.
Okay.
They are my pride and joy. I got some G Lumings here. Man, I forgot them, but the blue ones, the more expensive kind of ones, the G
The
Lumings.
fancy ones.
Yeah, it's not the one with Shimano, because that is a robbery in itself. It's just the price is just crazy. Even in US, it's an expensive rod. I mean,
Yeah, I don't even.
Oh, yeah.
I own one Loomis.
Oh
Yeah,
my
they're
God.
even here.
Oh,
They're expensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
the NRS. The NRS. I got a couple of NRS. That's when I had money. Now I spend it all on tackle. But NRS, yes, I got a couple NRS, and those still working great. They have 4 years now already. I think 4 or 5 years, and they're just perfect. I take care of my material. Shimano's. Actually, Shimano made a lot of rods, especially to Brazil. So we have some lines here that you guys don't have access to, because of the
For
specifics.
the Amazon.
For the Amazon, you might have a heavy rod there, but usually your heavy rods will be to the sea fishing, or the big fish in the sea. So
Right.
the middle ones, if you can go that route of saying that. And it's funny. I notice you guys in the US, you're not much concerned about the how much the pounds on it. Like we buy rods here by the pounds. If I'm looking for a rod, I'm going because I'm more curious and I want to learn about it. So I'm usually going for it's a medium heavy or in this kind of details. But the majority of the guys here in Brazil usually are buying just by the pounds. So it's a 20-pound rod. It's a 30-pound rod.
What does that mean?
Is the line usually is the line recommendation.
The line rating. Okay.
So they go through the line writing, So this is a 20 to 35 pounds rod. That's the one that I'm taking to Amazon. Actually, you can get well with a 20 pounds, 20 to 25, and usually they are rated from 17 to 25-pound line.
Like it's pretty close to a heavy style rod for us.
It's going to be a heavy style. Style. And it's a funny thing because our rods, and even to the Amazon, they are shorter than yours. We don't use 8-foot rods. We don't use even 7-foot rods. It's getting more common down here in south of Brazil. It is actually in bass fishing. It is common 7-footers, but for the Amazon, it's going to be a 5.6, a 6-foot.
Really?
Very short. Yeah. A 6.5 is going to be mainly because of precision. You got to have a straight shot when you're throwing. The precision because of all the the forest itself,
trees hanging over. Yeah.
You and the distance. You don't have to go the distance. You don't have to throw that many yards to get to the spot. Usually you're fishing by boat, and so you're getting very close to them. So 10 foot away.
That makes sense. That's a good segue into this one. So speaking about boats, I noticed you have a KBF patch on your jersey there. So has kayak fishing picked up a lot in your area? Yeah, I know you said you had some Hobies and stuff there.
Yeah, kayak fishing it's already a reality in Brazil for a while. We have all the crazy kayaks you can imagine as far as built. And that's not a good thing, but
we have home built. You mean?
Yeah, home build, and or even the Brazilian brands are now very well, but very good in what they're doing. Most of them. We have 3 major brands. One of them actually is selling a skiff in US now. It's a Milha Nautica. They are selling the Milha boat. It's a small skiff, rudder motored. And it's going crazy in Florida. I don't know if you heard about that.
I think I saw a thing about that.
The guys at Tiny Boat Nation. If you go there,
that's exactly who it is. Yep.
Yeah, and those guys are actually representing them now. I think they did a deal or something. It is a crazy boat, small boat. It's a bigger than a kayak. It's still smaller than a Hobie 14-footer. It's a 12-footer, 12 and a half, I think. But it's wide.
I think it's 13 foot.
Oh, there you go. It's almost a 14 then. So, but it's it's a kayak. Oh, that's not the one. Not no.
Oh,
No, Media Light Skiff. Is that? Oh, that's the one. Yes, there it is. That's the one. Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, it's all padded. That's why it was. Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
You
So you
see,
can
there's
put
the
the wheels on it. You can put a motor on the back.
that's the
So
one.
it's honestly like my aluminum kayak, my
Mhm.
Alumayak.
There you go.
Look at that.
It's crazy, and it is expensive in US too. As far as I know, it's a wow. This one is at 3,200, 3,300. It's almost a hobby price, right? It's a very expensive kayak to spend
Yeah.
that kind of money. And in Brazil, it's not double that. It's actually less if you go in dollars because they are made in Brazil.
Oh,
We can have, yeah, these are the ones that you have there is all made in Brazil, which is a nice thing to talk about our production here, and the capacities and the capabilities of the Brazilian manufacturers. It is
they're pretty cool. I
it
haven't
is
looked
cool,
this
man.
much, and I just saw like a picture of a guy sitting in one. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. But yeah, once you look at them, they're kind of cool.
I'm honestly thinking of trading my hobby into one of these. I want to see them, but still, it's very expensive. It's still, it's
Mm.
I want to say $1,500 here. Okay, yeah, it's around $1,500 one of these here. Just the raw boat. It's not expensive for you if you go to the kayak world. It's not expensive, but
Yeah,
for us
it's like
here,
one of the top end, top more. It's like one of the more expensive kayaks because yeah, I would say 3,000 is what a lot of the kind of the more
yeah,
expensive ones are.
yeah.
Like for the tournament guys are using. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not an expensive for you guys if you would be sold by 1,500, but I get it. It's a market thing. I don't know. You don't have that much taxes, so it's a market thing. In Brazil, you can buy the same boat that you're selling on 3,300. We buy it at 1,500 here, so it's a win for us for finally. But no, but going back to kayak, it's strong. There is one competition. A good friend of mine is one of the managers of that competition. He's had one deal one time in a year in Rio de Janeiro area. It's they're going after sea fish, and it goes over 500 to 600 kayaks. So it's crazy big. I mean, for a kayak
Wow.
tournament, it's big. In one day, everybody coming out of the beach, together. It's just craziness, and every sort of craziness you can imagine. With engines, with no engines. With or without, safe jackets. You know, but and it is fascinating to see. The passion for fishing, and some guys build their own. You have that too, but in here it's an economical thing, so it is expensive.
Yeah.
A
Here we
kayak,
just call them rednecks.
yeah, exactly. Well, I don't want to say that you said that anyway. The kayaks here, they can get very expensive too. Hobby kayaks are the same price, or were the same price they would be selling in the US, $4,000. A top one. Okay,
Hmm.
my kayak, it's a compass, so it's a middle class hobby, if you can call it like that. I love that boat. It's a very good for my fishing. It's not perfect, but yeah, and it's expensive. I paid like $2,000, which is similar to what you pay in US. The
Yep.
pricing is similar to. So and it's a 2019, I believe. Still working, it's still good, and but it's crazy. The kayak fishing is huge. Actually, KBF and Chad, I had the opportunity to talk with him in my channel right along the same time as we spoke together a
Yeah. I
couple of
think yeah,
years
right
ago.
after me or
Yeah,
before me or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so we talk about it, and I remember he was very interested, and I think economics made it a step back, but he wanted to get into Brazil because of the size of the business that can get,
Hmm.
but no major company, despite hobby indirectly, because it was not hobby itself here. The hobby has a big market for boats. There are the canoes, the hobby cats, they call it, the big sailboats. That's a big market for them, Brazil. But the kayak, it's also strong because there's a lot of crazy guys with some kind of money that will spend over $2,000-3,000 on a kayak, and they were selling a lot. But you probably know better than I do. After the pandemic, the plastic issue or materials, lack of materials, Hobie decided, as from what I understand here, Hobie decided to hold down a little bit on the export and to focus on the U.S. market, and that affect the guys here that were importing. And I don't know the story, so I know that we
makes
don't have
sense.
Hobies. Yeah, we don't have Hobies right now being sold here.
Well, you
So
got those cool little light skiffs. I'd be zipping around in one of those things.
yeah, that's crazy. But then again, this is as expensive as a top hobby here. So for us, it is $1,500 is a lot of money for us.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot of money for everybody, I would say, but it's a lot of money. So yeah, it's on the bucket list.
So for wire baits, there's a couple interesting questions here. Basilisk had one, and then I think it was who was it? Somebody else had a question about Forage. Was it Bastope? Did I see Bastope in here that dropped that? I think Bastope had a question. Maybe that wasn't him. I thought he was in here. So Basilisk is wondering, does a chatterbait work well down there? So do you throw like chatterbaits or spinnerbaits?
A lot.
And then somebody else asked, what is like the main forage? So like here we have bluegill or shad, as the main things that they're eating. What do they stock those lakes with forage too?
Yeah, that's the main. That's another thing that to explain why we don't have big basses here in the majority of the lakes that I know, because it's all you have to maintain them, you have to feed them. So Chad and some bluegill, actually close to where I live, there's some guys actually take growing a bluegill, a farm, if I can call it, in order to feed them. So
Sure.
yeah, one of the small lake with bluegills, and they take it from there to throw to the bass. But we have both shad and bluegill. The shad, and don't get me wrong, it might not be the same species, but it's a shad. It's as far as
Same profile.
Yeah, profile, and we had that easy here in every lake, in every river. You're gonna have them. So also you have to throw them in those lakes, because they start if it is natural, the bass will eat in less than a year. So you have to consistently keep feeding them. And on the reservoirs, it's a different way. Then we have shads, not the bluegill, but shads. And then that's the main forage. Yeah.
And do you have crawfish there too, like crawdads?
No.
No.
On the sea, yes. On the sea, we have, of course, a variety of cousins of it, but we don't have the
shrimp
crawfish,
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no freshwater shrimp or nothing like that. So is it really just bait fish that they're eating? Really, bluegill and shad, is that their main?
Yeah, that's it. We don't have the crawfish you have here. We have the shrimps on some I'm sorry, not salt water, just on non-salt water. But we have shrimp, but it's not their forage. It's not accessible to them, at least.
That's interesting. I wonder how much that changes the bite when they're used to only eating, bait fish and stuff. I wonder what they would do if you threw a jig in, if that would be completely foreign to them, or if they'd still eat it. I mean,
the crazy thing is the first bass that I ever caught was on a jig with no trailer, a white jig, a 3.5 ounce jig that I never knew how to throw it. I just
3.5 ounces.
I'm sorry, I might be wrong on the conversion.
Okay,
It was a big one.
Maybe 3/8 ounce jig.
3/8, yeah,
or half ounce, something like that.
I still got it. Yeah, 3/8. I'm sorry about that, guys.
3.5 ounces. That'd be like
a fist. No. I'm sorry. But anyway,
No,
getting lost in the translation. But it was a big, it was a big one. And a big friend of mine took me to one of these lakes, and that was my first bass. No trailer, no experience at all. I just throw it out there and leave it like there was nothing there. And then I felt it in my first bass, and from there I was hooked. And from there is history, and that's less than 10 years ago. For the black bass. So it's a passion of mine, as you can easily notice, my channel and everything. But yeah, black bass is a fever, not only for me. In South Brazil, some guys, actually companies, take it very seriously. The black bass fishing in the community, especially. So they feed them with everything they get their hands on. If it's whether it's product from US, product from Japan, because there is a market for it. The majority of I would say black bass fishing, it might be almost like an elite fishing type of deal, because it's more expensive than if you go fish at tucunaré, if you live in Amazon first, if you don't have to travel. But because tucunaré, it's way more aggressive than the black bass. Okay, really, don't get offended, guys, but it is way more aggressive. It is a stronger fish. It is a bigger fish due to the region and due to all the things some of you guys might already know. And yeah, the pickup bass it's a different fishing, guys. But black bass, it's growing. It's not new, but it is expensive. The black bass fishing, if you go after black bass, you're gonna have to go to the soft baits the majority of the time. Plugs do work, the plastic baits do work, but they are not as popular as plastic baits. 90% of the time I'm throwing plastics. I'm not that confident on plastics, I'm sorry, soft plastics. I'm throwing soft plastics. I might work on a lipless. I love the lipless fishing, lipless crankrake. But yeah, soft bait on a weightless soft bait is killer for our black bass.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dizzle.
I was just gonna say, so what's the base of the bodies of water? What's the bottom made up of? Is it primarily like mud or silt or stuff like that? You probably don't have a whole lot of rock or anything like that, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Mainly because most of the lakes are man-made. If you go to the majority of the private lakes, might not be man-made, but they are usually some rocks, but mostly mud. So it's hard on the vegetation. You can imagine there's not much vegetation in some of these lakes. If you go to the shore, you have vegetation. Some guys take care of that, and they're or doing artificial covers. You guys do that a lot. We throw tires or we throw
artificial fish structure.
Whatever structure. Some guys are actually focusing on that, and they are getting very good on it. But yeah, you will find rock on the bottoms of the reservoirs, or
so that was just
lakes.
Kind of making me think. It's like you said you didn't really throw a jig a whole lot. Then I'm instantly thinking of all of the lakes and bodies of water that I fish in that are like just like a silt or a mud or no rocks in the bottom. There's a lot of times where I love to throw a jig and I'll take it with me every single time I go, but I may not throw it at all that day if that ends up being, if there's no rock or anything that I could really find. I'm not going to fish it.
To knock on it and so they can hear it. There's not much reason for you, and that's the thing. There's not much. There is, of course, a lot of lakes, and some guys might jump in and say, "Hey, I got 3 lakes here with rocks and they work." But in my region, major, it's mud. So we don't use jigs much because of it. I have a lot of jigs, and I love to fish jigs because you can throw them far. You can, you got more precision because they are heavier to throw. Precision is a hard thing when you're throwing weightless, especially if you're going on a spinning wheel. Sorry. But yeah, that's the thing. I would say that's one of the reasons I might not go to a jig most often.
Do you get to do much frog fishing there? Do you throw like topwater frogs and stuff much?
A lot. We actually invest.
Those little ugly fish that we were talking about, those wolf fish looking things, that they eat frogs?
Yeah, there is a whole market. There is a whole market just out of frogs for trairas, for that ugly fish that you saw there. So bass eat that a lot too. It's just a common sense, But oh man, frog fishing here, you can go just with a frog and be happy the whole day. Might not work for the bass all the time, as you guys know. But if you go to a lake that we have trairas, you just need that. Actually, I kid with my friends. If you throw a pencil with a hook, you're gonna fish
They
it
would
right
eat
in.
it.
Oh my! They
I'll
they
take
they
it.
they will bite if a rock hit at the water. They will bite the rock because they are very aggressive and easy to find. Might be similar to bass in the U.S. It's just
They eat them.
and black.
Do you eat them at
Uh,
all?
yes, a lot of guys eat them. I already eat them. A lot of times when I was camping or doing, night fishing or whatever. It's fun to fish at night, especially that fish. It's very aggressive, and top water fishing at night. It's just explosion. It's just crazy. But the black bass, as you well know, it's more sentimental, if I can say this. So it might not react to a top water all the time. And it doesn't work all the time. It's very specific times in the year when you can throw top water or early in the day, that you can throw top water and especially a frog and be lucky with it. It does work. I have 2 boxes out of top of frogs only.
Yes.
Plastic frogs. I love them.
Now, Little Rich asked, this is a good one. Then Dizzle, I think you had a question. I'll let you go. What is the best Brazilian breakfast to eat before a day of bass fishing? What's your favorite? Let's go with that.
You probably will understand. I don't eat it. I don't eat at all. I have no breakfast when I'm going fishing. I get so anxious about the fishing, and it is really, really. I got so anxious that usually I'll take just a fruit with me, not a banana. I know some guys that I don't know why, but it's not a banana. But usually I don't eat. I get so excited that I have no time for eating. I woke up 5 a.m. in the morning, or 4:30 in the morning, and
You're ready to go. You're ready to get to the lake.
I got my bottle of water and I'm ready. Then of course at around 10 a.m. already falling, and almost passing out of hungry,
Hunger.
but oh my, but yeah, it's not my main focus, the breakfast, unfortunately.
Okay, well, let's say a day you're not going fishing. What's your favorite breakfast? Because I have to ask, are you familiar with the term B's and G's?
Bees and
No.
cheese, yes, I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
biscuits and gravy. Do you guys eat those?
Yes, we eat them also. Yeah, and I know that's very common breakfast in US for most of the
Uh-huh.
guys. And you can take some biscuits to fishing for sure. I do that a lot, but that's why I'm saying I'm not usually stopping eating a breakfast and then leaving the house. I'm grab something and I'm going. So yeah, that will work. But yeah, some biscuits, some like Oreo type of stuff might work too. Whatever keeps me going, and just so I don't fall out or I don't pass out in but I'm not much in the quality of the breakfast. But on a daily basis, I'm the worst on the breakfast too. I usually just drink coffee, black coffee, and keeps
What's a
me
popular
going.
one? Since you don't
Coffee?
eat breakfast, let's say what's a no, like a popular breakfast. Like what is like let's say I was going to visit Brazil and somebody's like, "Oh, you got to have this for
No,
breakfast."
bread, just a plain bread. Usually the most popular, and from my understanding, is just a plain slice of bread on toasted on one side,
Uh-huh.
and you spread butter on it. That's that's the quick
Toast?
way.
You're telling me toast is the big thing in Brazil with all the cool stuff you guys got down there?
Man, you can talk about all the fruits and all the
Oh,
things you say, but for breakfast, if you go to a big city like São Paulo, okay, which is bigger than the majority of, well, it's the fifth city in the world as far as size goes, like 12
is it
million
that
people.
big?
Oh yeah, it's
Wow.
12 million just in the state of the capital, okay, São Paulo state. So this city, 12 million people in one city, okay, it's that's the one. If you go to any, we call it padaria, any bakery, that's what they will confirm
Huh.
that. That's just a plain bread, slice it in the middle, put it on hit it on one side, turn it, toast it a little bit, put some butter on it, and have at it with coffee. It's that crazy.
Simple.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah. Of course, you go to the
I was
more
thinking
fancy
some
guys,
kind of
but
meat. I was thinking because like isn't cattle pretty
yeah,
big down there now? And
it is. Brazil, it
yeah,
was always a big player.
yeah,
Sometimes bigger than US. Actually, it is bigger than US in volume
yeah.
of
Kind of
production.
a throw up, yeah. Because no
Yeah.
bull riding, a lot of the good bull riders are Brazilian dudes.
Yeah, that's in the middle of this of the Brazil in Mato Grosso state and Mato Grosso do Sul. That's right in the center of Brazil, going west, and they are very country states, very similar to Texas. You know, they love the Texans and they love the culture, so that's why they use the hats and everything, cowboy style. A lot of big trucks, the Rams, the Fords, they're all there. Yeah, really.
That's
And
awesome. I didn't
and
realize it was that like that.
country music, Brazilian country music, and of course U.S. music. It's very strong there, and
Huh.
fishing is very strong over there too. But bull riding is something that they cherish the most. And yeah, it's a big country, man. There's a lot of different things happening, you know. But yeah,
Fishing fix, yes. Biscuits and gravy.
biscuits and gravy.
We got
Yeah,
fans.
it's not popular in Brazil, you know, but we do eat biscuits for sure.
Yeah.
Gravy, yeah. Well, and as you were saying, like you imagine sausage, because in the south of Brazil, in my area, there's a lot of German colonization. So yeah,
Oh.
sausage is part of it, you know, for these guys, and you know, making a sausage in the morning.
I'm
I don't
thinking
have
after
time.
you told me that frog fishing is so good there, I'm probably gonna just move to Brazil, get back into jujitsu to lose some of the extra pounds, open
Yeah.
up a biscuits and gravy shop since you got fresh biscuits all the time.
Oh yeah.
This sounds like a dream.
Man, I don't know about the gravy though. You might not sell that much, but the
And
biscuits,
Debo
you
just
might.
went poor.
Yeah, well, no, the biscuits you might be able to sell them, and I'll tell you, yeah, if you like top water fishing, you gotta come to my state, and of course Amazon, but Amazon, not the frogs. It's not gonna work. The frog is not gonna stand the first bite.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you come to the south of Brazil, where my state especially, and the three southern states of Brazil, frog fishing for trairas, that ugly fish that you saw there,
Yeah.
it's been for the I don't know since the beginning of fishing in Brazil. I mean, it's crazy, and we got so many companies doing frogs here and different frogs. Maybe I should send you some different frogs. You're gonna find it funny too,
Dude,
because
I'm gonna
there.
get a whole big. We'll have to talk after. I'm gonna get a whole big case of stuff ready for you, and it costs like $40 to $50 to ship something to Canada. So I'm sure it'll cost like $100 to ship to Brazil, but totally
No,
worth it. I've
it's
got a
similar.
box.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I'll be very, very happy, and I feel very comfortable, and you know, humbly I will accept that. I really appreciate it, man.
Okay, Dizzle, what do you
Always.
got? I know had some questions, and chat hit him with questions that you got. What do you guys wonder?
You did have one up. I don't remember who it was from, but it was if you had the ability to money, no issue, is there a dream lake that you would want to fish, whether it be in the US, Japan, anywhere in the world that you could go fish? Is there one, here's my bucket list, I want to fish this lake someday?
That's might not be a hard one, but it's so hard that I'm almost forgetting the name of the lake. But it's where Scott Martin has a marina, the Martins,
Okeechobee,
uh, Okeechobee.
Okeechobee.
Florida.
Okeechobee, yeah, Okeechobee. That's on my bucket list. Probably some fishing in Texas too. I know Alabama has a lot of great fisheries, but if you ask me, the lake that'll be there. And even prior to go to Mexico, where I know there's a big monsters there as far as bass fishing goes. But yeah, Okeechobee, and especially over there with Scott, and getting the opportunity to get to know them, so, at least take a picture with those guys. I really respect them a lot. I follow them as I follow you guys. It's some
That's what
of
I
the
was
guys that
asked.
I really.
Is he like your favorite pro? Him and like Roland?
It's
Are
not
your
my
favorites?
the Roland. I really like him. I think Scott is a great fisherman. It's also one of my it's one of the main ones that I follow and that I respect a lot as a fisherman. There's some other guys that I really, of course, Jacob Wheeler is everywhere. If you know a little bit of
He's not
English, you
even
follow
real. He's not even real. He's
Jacob. He's too much into those forward facing, and I know that's a big
Oh,
issue.
no. I didn't mean that. I
Oh
just
man,
meant he's so good that he's like it.
he's
He shouldn't exist. Like
he's
when
another
you're
level.
that good,
He
like
really,
yeah,
he's really.
another
It's like
level.
he's gonna. I'm pretty sure he's going to be, and I don't want that with disrespect, but as important as the big guys, Bill Dance and those old guys,
It's a
rolling.
different scene now. Yeah, it's a different scene, and I think that's
Yeah.
okay. And I know a lot of people would disagree, but it's it's kind of like a changing of the guard type deal. Like we
Yeah.
had the
KVD stepping out. KVD
yeah,
step
right.
out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a different moment.
Yep. Yeah.
And those are big fishermen and great fishermen. If you take the electronics out, these guys could be hoisting trophies, everywhere. And I think that's the thing, like guys like Jacob and those other guys that I would love to get to know them, but these guys are doing great, and they're doing what they should be doing, is knowing the game, and knowing if you can use it, if you have the technology and the money for it, go for
You'd be
it.
dumb not to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's working and it's that, dominant. And you
Yeah.
can learn so much. Like one of my buddies has it, and I don't know half the time what the hell I'm even looking at. They're just like lights on a screen. But like sometimes, when it's, I don't know if it's depth or what, but you can really see them, and you can learn like, when a jerk bait's going down, you can see the fish like come up and look at it versus coming out of the grass to look at it,
Yeah.
So the amount you can learn is just
I think guys, there are some baits actually being made so they can, show better in those kind of, forward-facing sonars. There are some inks that the guys are putting on so they shine, and it's a whole new game. It's a new game.
Right.
I think the traditional fishing that I do, that I believe you guys do, bank fishing, is always going to be there. But
absolutely.
these
Yeah.
on the professional side, it's just crazy the way it goes.
And I think it's going to be cool because it'll probably, kind of ebb and flow, the offshore stuff and, the forward facing sonar pick up. But if that's the case, there's going to still be a whole bunch of shallow fish that people aren't fishing for as much, trying to get better, trying to get out of that stuff. I'm going to hit this because another question I have to ask you, Mauricio, is do you find wood and then pitch to wood? Is that a thing? Find wood.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that all day long. I love that kind of fishing. The reaction is just amazing. And there's a lot of structure in some of these lakes that we fish. So yeah, there's a lot of wood in the water there, so you can use that. Yeah, for sure.
So real quick before
Yeah.
before you go to Paul's question, Jared Alonso asked at one point in time, I think earlier, about glide baits or big swim baits. Do you guys throw many of those, or?
It's getting popular. It's getting popular for bass fishing as well. Glide baits are more popular in the when you're fishing offshore, and when they're getting into the to the lakes now with some smaller size, like 6 inchers. The 6 inch is it's a big size actually for us, but 6 incher it's getting. Yeah, it's getting to get more common to see some guys throwing it and having some success on it because it's a different profile, it's a different thing that you throw in there, especially in tournaments. When it's a already heavy pressure water, if you throw something different. Yeah, and they are again very expensive. They are expensive in US.
Oh yeah,
very expensive down here. Oh man, I'm talking about Jesus. 35 to 40 bucks at least.
I know.
A lot of them are here too. Yeah.
I know crazy. Some of them are even more. You're talking. Some of them are like hundreds.
The Japanese ones.
Yeah.
The Japanese ones. They don't even sell here because it's going to be too expensive to import.
And they'll probably just get destroyed with those toothy guys you got down there. The
the traira. You can call it wolffish, I think, but the traira, inline spinner for wolffish. Just what we're talking, yes, we can. It's very popular. Although, I'm sorry, inline spinner is not. The spinners, yes, the regular spinner, but inline spinner is very sensitive for wolffish. You might get lucky and get them out of the water, but they will eat that. If you don't have a strong leader. For instance, I'm just asking the upscale lures question on it, but if you gotta have a strong leader to fish the trairas, the wolffish, because they have strong teeth and they will bite. As I say, if you throw a rock, they will bite the rock. So it's got the frogs here, the hooks that you guys fish for bass. Most of them won't work here because they are too light on the wires. So the wolffish, I'm telling you, the wolffish will smash those wires in a way that you cannot imagine. In depending on how they grab it, of course. You know, if they get it all in the mouth, of course you're gonna get them. But if they grab it on the mouth, we use triple X wires or double X wires for the frogs in order to resist them.
Now, in the places like even the private places where you're fishing for bass, are those trairas, are those there as well in there?
No, majority of the time you won't find them because they're private lakes and especially
so they're not in there. Okay,
bass.
that's what I was wondering. Gotcha.
No, they might happen. It might happen, but it's not common. If you go to the reservoirs, then yes, the reservoirs, that's their place prior to the bass. So you're gonna find those fishes there. Yeah.
So with everything being not as common or not as available and more expensive, I know somebody asked earlier, do you pour like your own lead for like jig heads? And do you ever like melt down any of your plastic? Say you get a plastic bitten off or anything like that. Do you try to reuse any of that stuff, or are you just...
I try to reuse a couple, actually, especially some flukes. I might be able to reuse them, you know, but the majority of the time it's just I don't try to glue them or do anything with it.
Okay.
Especially me, you know, if I'm talking my experience, I know a couple of guys that are pouring their own lures, and actually my friends that are actually selling them. They are copying the baits from other makers and doing them, which is similar to what you have there. You can buy a mold of you know, and then you can make it on yourself. So we have local brands now doing very good material, you know, similar, you know, the material itself is just a formula that makes it a little bit different. But yeah, there's a lot of guys pouring their own lures, not a lot, but the ones that are doing, they are selling it because it's expensive to buy the molds.
Right.
And I'm not into that. I think it's going to be as crazy as having all the stuff I already have. So I would love to try that once, but no, I don't pour my own lures.
Interesting.
Let's see. So we had a couple people asked. Mr. Me asked about the biggest species. So I think that's like the arapaima and some of the catfish. It looks like, I was looking because I'm like, 10 foot, that seems big. That was like one of the biggest they had unofficially. Oh, yeah. So it said a lot of these are like 6 to 8 feet, which is still, don't get me wrong, that's gigantic. Yeah, 200 to 400 pounds. It says the maximum record arapaima that was caught was 440 pounds. Imagine hooking that in the river.
Yeah. And imagine the rod that this guy was using. I mean,
oh my gosh, that's I bet it was stuff. Like an hour-long fight, you know, letting it go.
Half size Piranha will give you at least a half an hour fight for sure. A half size of that for sure. You're not going to throw. It's not like a bass that you can crank it out of the water whenever you want. I mean, you're not going to do that. And I'm not saying in a bad way for the bass, because I love the bass as you guys, but
well, it's different. Yeah, it's a whole different game.
It's a different game.
What's your now our guy Bassin with Big Malone asked, what is your PB in species? So what is your personal best, like the biggest fish out of everything that you catch? What's like the biggest fish that you caught? And do you remember the size?
It's a catfish. It's a Piranha type. It's a different family south in Brazil, and he had almost 3 feet long. It was 90 centimeters. So that's the biggest I caught. I never fished for the Dorados, which is a bigger fish here, but yeah,
I was looking those up. The Amazon Dorado is not what I was thinking. Because I was thinking, like, what is that? The mahi or whatever.
I think you were just a dolphin, right?
Yeah, dolphin, whatever. I forget what it is, but it's like the rounded head is the Dorado.
I'm getting the picture here. Let me show you. Dorado fish. There you go. Yeah. Let me get that picture alone.
Oh yeah. Yeah, completely different deal than what I was talking about.
Yeah, not what I was thinking at all. It's like
that's a
turtle.
I'm pretty sure you could say any species once you start talking about Amazon stuff looks mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one is not in the Amazon, although you can find them. But this is in certain Brazil. It's more like in Argentina and Uruguay rivers. But we have in our rivers too, because of as close as we are to them. And so actually our borders are river borders. So we have the Dourados on both sides. So in Brazil, we have big fish and big Dourados. Like this one on the picture is more like in Argentina or Uruguay.
Oh yeah, Andrea made really good sense there. Dolphin or the dolphin mahi, those are saltwater. I didn't even think of that.
Oh yeah, I totally knew that. I was just seeing if you did, Debo.
I did. Now that she says it, I do, but I wasn't even thinking that when I asked.
That's why I was calling, and I was calling, and guys, I was saying like a cousin, because there are some fish that are similar to saltwater fishing, but Dorado, there's actually another fish that we call Dorado, but it's out of saltwater. So
yeah, that's what I wondered. Frank clarified Dorado is the South American salmon. Yeah, because it looks like a lake trout, like a big one of those big lake trout type deal.
Yeah, that is another picture there. Let's see here.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Weird looking dudes. Huh.
Yeah, they are mean, man. Imagine a mean fish.
I think we've said that about every Amazonian.
Oh man,
those are mean. Those are horrible.
Yeah, those I don't want to swim in the Amazon River for sure. You know, the easiest thing that you gotta fight is gonna be a crocodile or something. That's the easy one. I don't. No, I'm joking, but still.
But still, yeah.
I don't want to be bitten by any of these. Probably a peacock bass, I'll be fine, but you know, since they don't have teeth, but the other guys are really mean.
Okay, we'll do. So we're almost an hour and a half. What time is it down there for you?
Almost 11 now. Yes.
11 p.m.
We are 2 hours in front of you guys. Yeah, 11 p.m. Yes.
Oh, that's not bad. I thought it was.
But it's Saturday. I'm okay.
Okay, well, we're going to do
it's Saturday.
We will do a couple more questions here. So listen, get your questions, and we're going to do a couple more here. Obsessed asked, and I think you kind of talked about this, since a lot of the places you fish are, you know, more man-made. What's the water clarity like there? Even with the silt bottoms, is it still decently clear? Or
yeah, you actually, I think you asked that earlier, and we changed the subject. But yeah, the majority of the water is going to be muddy most of the time. Yeah, it's not. You might find some clear lakes some times of the year, depending on similar to what you have. If you have a rainy season, which we have a lot, we just passed through a terrific flood in our state, the biggest of the history, actually, guys. And just a seconds of not good news, but it was 3 times bigger than Katrina. Just to give you a size comparison, what we passed through here, the state, you know, not my region, but the state itself felt a lot. A whole month of rain nonstop, you know, 1 or 2 days off, and then a lot of rain again. So a lot of people hurt from that. So that's a very serious thing that is happening right now. But going back to the fishing, yeah, if we have rain, you know, usually you're going to have muddy water or more murkier water. And clear lakes, it's really rare to find a clear lake. You're going to be able to see in a good day 2 foot away, you know, 2 foot.
Okay. You know, yeah, so pretty dirty.
Yeah, more stained water. Yeah.
Have you, Cooler Lid asked, have you had any encounters with piranha?
Yes, I did. Back in the 90s. I'm an old guy, guys, and I look like. But back in the 90s, I was fishing. My father took me to the south of Mato Grosso do Sul, to Pantanal, which is a very popular destiny for fishing, and especially for catfish. And I was fishing for a pintado, which is one of the types of catfish. Is a spotted catfish. Okay, and it can get big too. My biggest was like I don't know, less than a foot. So it's not a big one, but it's still back then it was huge for me. And I got a lot of piranhas. Piranhas are, and they're not in our region. They're not common in the south of Brazil. They're starting to show up in a couple of places, but more into the mid to the north of Brazil, Amazon. They are there, but not in big numbers. They are more into the mid section of Brazil. They are more common into Pantanal area, which is Mato Grosso do Sul state. You can get piranhas just with the hook. You don't need a bait. You just throw.
Yeah, I've heard They're pretty easy to catch,
something
and I
that
heard
shines.
they're good to eat.
They're very good. Soup is amazing. The meat is not there much. They have some big species, and they can get bigger. The meaner ones are the small ones, but the big, they can get to big size. You know, I don't know how much that be, but they can get to a big disc. You know, and
Yep.
they are aggressive as you can imagine, especially the small ones. Not the ones from the movies, but similar for the. I don't know if you remember the movies, but
Yeah.
it can get real. The movie was not that far from reality. If you imagine, if you get blood on the water, it's worse than
Mhm.
sharks, man. They'll
Yeah, it's a
tear
frenzy
everything
because
there is there.
yeah, the crazy thing is they all take a bite and then twist and tear that flesh off. And when you've got 100 of them all doing that, it looks like
Yeah, exactly. It goes in really in a minute. They will eat a 2 foot long fish for easy. You got a lot of videos even on YouTube of guys holding a piraiba that is hurt somehow, or and the guys trying to push the piraiba to the boat, and the piranhas are just
Mm.
there's just if there is any bone left, it's crazy, and it's minutes. It's scary.
got to pay the tax man.
Yeah.
Let's see. We did talk about Cooler Lid. We did talk about what he did for a living. He's in the construction business.
Yeah,
So he does
yeah.
get to come over to the States every once in a while. Any type of cichlids that you fish for? Do you guys have like
No.
tilapia or any like type of
Yeah,
bigger
tilapia. Yeah,
cichlids?
tilapia is big here, big, but mainly for consumption and not
Mhm.
much for sport fishing. It's not. Although we have some private lakes that you can pay and catch and cook. You can pay and take them home.
Hmm.
It's a huge actually. Brazil is probably it's not the biggest. It's one of the biggest countries in the world as far as volumes of tilapias production. It's
Really?
getting
Are
bigger
they
and bigger.
are they native to Brazil?
I don't think so, man. I'm not sure on that, but I don't
Yeah.
think they are native. But I know that they are here for quite a while now, and a lot of guys are making money out of selling the meat.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
a
know,
popular
like,
fish to eat.
yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot in Florida and they get huge, like
yeah,
massively huge. And obviously they're not native to here either. And
yeah.
that's and
I,
I think
I don't
they're
know if they are native to Brazil. I don't as they are produced, and I don't think there's no relation to that. But they might be okay, But I
yeah.
don't know if they are native to Brazil. Tilapia, it's very popular. It's getting more and more popular because it's cheap. It's a very cheap fish, so it's not expensive to eat. So it's getting popular and more popular than, of course, meat itself. Cattle. You know.
Right. Do you guys have like so I know around here, like I just said, the tilapia are and then God, what are the one fish, the Asian carp? Do you have any like species that have shown up that are very invasive and are taking over or that you're having issues with as far as
Uh,
environmentally?
that is happening in the north of on the shore of Brazil. In the north, we are having that wolf. It calls it wolf fish also, but it's a round and spiky one that especially on the
Mhm.
coral areas and the reefs. It's called wolf. I think I'm
Like a
not
lionfish almost?
lionfish. I'm sorry,
Lion,
lionfish.
okay.
That's the one.
Yep.
The lionfish is starting to show up, and it's an issue.
Mhm.
But indigenous species, I mean, like we don't have much of a problem. Carp, as you well know, it might get anywhere you can throw them. They will
Mhm.
grow to huge numbers. But no, we don't have as a problem. We don't not like you guys have in I think in Florida
Yeah.
and other
I don't
states
know
that
if
have
you've
an issue.
seen the video of the guys driving their boat down the river and the motor scares all these fish and they're jumping and flying out of the water and they're,
Yeah,
over
we
10
have
pounds of
Yeah, we
yeah.
have those exactly the same species here, and I
Mhm.
don't believe they are native. They're from Asia, I think, too. And
Yeah.
the same species and similar, the big eyes and
Mhm.
funny looking fish, ugly fish,
Yeah.
if you ask me. But they are here specifically for those catch and cook uh, business. You can go there, you can fish them out and yourself and fish them, but not in a big scale. Luckily, you don't find them on rivers, at least that to my knowledge.
We have a bunch of people saying how fun it was listening to your culture, listening to the questions in, and I did a horrible job at introducing and letting people know that you have a YouTube because, and I've shown people this before, but so if people don't know where to find him, go check out Fishing Bass Brazil. Are you on anything else? YouTube? You're on Instagram, I know. Anything else where
I'm
people
on
go find you?
Instagram and YouTube, and I think Facebook too. But Facebook, I'll be honest, I'm not going there on the Facebook. But yeah, I have the three, of course. YouTube and Instagram, I'm pretty, especially on Instagram, I've been very looking into that. And a confession moment here, guys. I'm coming back to YouTube now. It's been a couple of months. I've been out of videos, and I actually got another channel that I registered, but I never used, the Fishing Bass USA. And actually it's there, but there's just one video, an old one, and I decided to stick with Fishing Bass Brazil. I'm here, I wanted to make a channel just in English in order to get to you guys, and so you can see a little bit of our reality. And what I'm gonna be doing at the end, my idea is to throw it in a couple of videos a month, or at least one video a month in English, of my adventures here, of showing the places, showing the lakes, and give you guys a perspective of what it is to fish for bass here, which is not a walk in the park. We don't have, as I mentioned earlier to you guys, we don't have black bass on every corner or on every lake. It's just some private lakes, so you have to plan the trip. And it is a trip. The closest one to me, it might be a private lake minutes away, but still you need an authorization. Still you need to find a place. So, and the more common for me, it's at least 40 to an hour drive to fish for the black bass. So it's not that much, but still it's something to be planned, And
yeah, a lot of things we take for granted here. A lot of places we can go down to our local pond and catch some bass. It's like, well, yeah, like you're saying, you might have to drive 40 minutes or an hour. So
yeah, for sure.
well, listen, man, I know it is late there. I won't keep you any longer. Everybody tonight, of course, I haven't got to thank my members, everybody else watching, Dizzle, Mauricio. It has been a ton of fun. Hopefully we can pick your brain again later sometime, because I learned a lot, and it's to me, it's always cool seeing somebody that shares the same hobby, the same type of things that we do. But if you look at it from, the opposite side of the mirror, I thought it was a blast. So
thanks, man. Thank you so much again for the opportunity of getting me back into YouTube somehow. I'm missing my friends, Brazilian friends, and the guys in the US that I'm already friends of. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity to be talking with you guys. It's always a pleasure to talk about fishing. Yes, if you have some time and if you want to share some love, come and get to know the channel, Fishing Bass Brazil. It's right there. It's on Instagram, and I'll answer any of you guys. We can talk in English, of course. I can answer you guys whatever questions you guys have from there too. It's gonna be a blast.
very cool, my friend. Well, listen, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next